This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Wednesday, April the 14th, race number 5 at Keeneland. We kick off a 50-cent pick 4 with this entry-level allowance race for some promising fillies and mares on the turf. We throw up the field. We're going 1 1/8, and you can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them, handicap along with us, and a little bit of everything in here. You've got some foreign shippers, some recent maiden winners with some promise, and a Chad Brown trained number 5, Linny Kate, who should improve second off the layoff.
Yeah, Linny Kate could definitely improve second off the layoff, Dan. They have a relatively short price on the line, which isn't unexpected for horses from this barn. You know, her first 2 starts were pretty good. Maybe she needed that last one.
Mike, I don't know what to think of this pace projector. There doesn't seem to be a lot of gas in this race. Timeform US has the 7 Take Charge Row out there on the lead, and she was a pace presser 2 starts back with some slow fractions going 7.5 furlongs. Linny Kate, I would expect to be close. Ballymore Star is a maiden who's cross-entered in another race. Maybe the number 9 Stand Tall will be a lot closer than where Timeform US has her.
I mean, she certainly has, that kind of a running style, Dan. I mean, she's been forward in races that are even longer than this one. So I don't know how much of a difference that makes, but I kind of agree with you. I can see the 9 getting forward in this race.
Let's talk a little bit about an interesting long shot down towards the inside. The number 1, Sunset Kiss, who began her career in England, and she sold for $140,000 at public auction in December. She's only had 1 start in North America for the great horseman Roger Attfield, and I just don't think the trip and pace situation worked out for her at Gulfstream.
Yeah, it certainly didn't. Going off of her form over in Europe, I guess it's a little bit hard to tell. Her only win is on synthetic over there, although she did run well in that race. Her 2 turf starts are sort of, opposite sides of the spectrum. And I thought she ran really well in her only turf start as a 2-year-old. She just missed in that race in a big field. And then she caught really heavy ground last October. She never lifted her feet up in that race. I feel like she must have hated it. When she got over here last time, I don't know, you go back and watch that race, and maybe I'm wrong, Dan, but that was a race that was slow early and fast late. This filly just rolled the rail the entire way around and held her position without really doing much. It almost looked like Attfield might have just been giving this horse a race last time. I think she's going to run a lot better in here.
And it's been a slightly productive race. The runner-up coming back to finish 3rd against similar competition at Gulfstream with a 79 buyer. The number 2 is a 30-1 shot named Elke de Hawarhate. This horse does not have a lot of early speed. She has also not raced since September. I'm going to have to take a wait-and-see approach. I know Timeform US has her close to the pace. I'd be surprised if she's that close.
Yeah, I didn't see the speed from her either, although she's been in a couple of races that I guess you would say have had faster paces, so that works to her advantage as far as the pace projector is concerned. I mean, we'll see, Dan. She's just not fast on the way in. She's already 5 years old now off the layoff. I mean, how much better is she going to get?
It appears she's getting a bit of a step up in class. The runner-up from the last race returned to finish 2nd for a $10,000 tag at the fairgrounds with a 72 buyer. The number 3 is I Hear Ya. I Hear Ya going 2nd off a short layoff for Michael Stidham. This horse last time raced at the fairgrounds, sort of an even performance, but again, a situation where maybe the trip didn't work out.
Yeah, it might not have. The horse that won that race is actually a pretty good horse for Brad Cox as well. I mean, there are things to like about this horse, Dan. She has figures that make her a contender. The first time that they went 1 1/8 with her this distance, she just missed behind a wire-to-wire winner. I thought she ran well that day with an 80 buyer. I can certainly see her taking a step forward in here.
And the 6th place horse from that last race came back to earn a 79 buyer speed figure when winning, albeit on dirt. Shug McGahee's trained horses usually get better with distance and experience, and it looks like the 4 Talking Book is one of those horses. Let's watch Talking Book's maiden win, her 3rd lifetime start, but her first race off of a very long layoff and her first race going out to 1 1/8, and she has a lot of work to do in the stretch. No rust off the layoff here.
I'll give her credit, Dan, for getting up in this race, going 9 furlongs off of what was a relatively long layoff. The flip side of that is this was a race that was run at a very solid pace early. She had a great trip in here. Sat it out, came wide to the stretch. You could see the horse that wound up finishing 3rd in there, Katama Moonlight. That horse went a solid pace. And you could just see how tired she was at the end of that race, Dan. The 1-2 finishers came and got her. This filly ran well. She can improve, but man, did she have all the best of it last time.
And Katama Moonlight would come back to win her next two starts with buyers of 79 and 85, respectively. Linny Kate is the number 5. She made her return off of a lengthy layoff for Chad Brown in this race at Gulfstream Park. Now, she was the beaten favorite on this day. I thought she had a really nice trip in behind the lead, Mike. She's going to get out to the 4-path late, and she's just going to clunk up for third. The runner-up coming back to win with an 84 buyer. I was a little disappointed that the finish wasn't stronger, but again, it was her first race off of a lengthy layoff.
Yeah, it was. And she did surge up to get third at the end there. I'm kind of with you. I thought her trip was a good one. She did have to sort of edge out from behind horses in the stretch. So maybe that cost her. I don't know. I liked her other 2 races a lot more than that. I thought her career debut was really good early last year. Unfortunately for her, it took her about 4 months to get back to the races again at Belmont. And she ran okay in that race as well. I think she has it in her to take a step forward here.
Tasama ships into North America for the first time for Graham Motion. It has been a very productive move for Motion over the years. Here's a formulator fact over the past 4 years. Older turf routers, foreign shippers, Lasix on. The added filter for this formulator fact, 180 to 365-day layoffs, no problem. 25% winners, almost a $3 ROI. This filly sold for $129,000 at public auction in December, but the only win came on a synthetic surface overseas.
It did. But, you know, she was very green early in her career, Dan. When you watch her early races, just very green in her first 2 starts. Her first turf start, I didn't think was bad at all. Obviously, you have to worry about the last time we saw her at York where she didn't run well. So, you know, we'll see what she does off the layoff here. The numbers that Motion sports with these horses just makes me interested. It feels like he does really good work with these horses, but I don't love this filly's starts overall.
Take Charge Row, the number 7, was a nibbler to start out her career, but she finally break through, but just last time out at Gulfstream Park. Let's watch that race. Looked like she was a little washed out and lathered out around the neck. She was bumped at the start, mid-pack off of a moderate pace, but she got the toe into the race by the eventual runner-up, the horse in the green silks that she battles with. She fights. She gets her nose down at the wire with a 78 buyer. I think she might be improving at the right time. A concern, though, is she wins this race and then she goes to the sidelines for 3 months.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a concern. Listen, I mean, it's hard to knock her overall form down. They've run her 4 times on turf. She's basically run the same race every time and has been right there at the end in all of those races. They're going to stretch her out a little bit here. I didn't really feel like that would work against her necessarily. I don't know. We'll just see what kind of price she is. She's the kind of horse I could go either way on. If she takes money, I'll look for somebody else. If she's a good price, I could use her.
The number 8, Vespa, goes out for trainer Paulo Lobo, who can score at a price. This is a mare who made her first 2 starts in Uruguay. She ran well in both of those races, gets Lasix for the first time. It's just so hard to rate these South American shippers. She's also running for the first time in 11 months.
Yeah, hard to tell what you're going to get from this mare now. I mean, she's already 5 now. I mean, we'll see what happens. She gets Lasix for this. Her 2 starts, you're right. It's hard to take exception with either one. She ran well both times, but how do they compare?
Let's look at the form lines of the 9 Stand Tall, and all of a sudden I think you can make her a prime contender in this race, even though she has not run since around Halloween. Her last start was in against Warlike Goddess, who is a very good marathoner. She is now a graded stakes winner, and that 1 3/8 might have been a little far for Stand Tall. The runner-up of that race also came back to win with a 77 buyer, and 2 starts back she was in against Micheline and Harvey's Little Goyle, who I think finished 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. You throw those 2 races out, you get back to a nice win right here at Keeneland.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I think you don't want to be too hard on her for her 2 most recent starts. She won at Keeneland last July. You know, when I watched that race, Dan, to me, it was just one of those situations where I thought she was more game than anything else. I mean, I wasn't blown away by her performance, but she was game to get it done. I felt like she would have to improve in here, but you know, you're right. It's pretty significant class relief for her.
Peter's Kitten, the number 10, is only 1 for 17 in her career, 0 for 16 on turf. But this will only be her 2nd start for trainer Michael Maker. And we have a formulator fact for Maker over the past year. Older turf routers in allowance races at Keeneland. He gears up for this meet. 40% winners, $3.34 ROI. That being said, with 6 runner-up efforts on her page, I kind of prefer underneath.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't like her form overall. I just really wasn't that interested in it. Really, the only thing that made me take a second look at her is that it's Maker now. And she did run pretty well in her first start for Maker over this distance.
If there's a little bit more pace than we anticipate, Mike, maybe the 11 Lake Lucerne is the one. And I'm not completely sold that she doesn't have a lot of speed. She had a lousy outside draw in her seasonal debut at Gulfstream. And I think Julian Leparoux just did the right thing, taking back and trying to save some ground. She certainly wasn't saving any ground in mid-stretch, but she ran on at the end and they tested her overseas. I think she has some ability. She just may need a little bit of racing luck.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if she had a better post, I might have put her on top, Dan. She's out of that same race as Lenny Kate last time. I'd rather have this horse out of that race. I mean, you're right that, maybe Leparoux just was doing what he had to do to take her back, but she also, like a lot of these imports, she just didn't break that well from the gate, and it just sort of didn't leave them that many options. He took her back, he rated her, and when you go back and watch the replay, you can just see how far away she is at the top of the stretch. She had a lot of ground to make up, and she was making it up. She just missed third at the end.
The 13, My Last First Kisses, entered main track only, so we'll conclude with the 12, Ballymore Star, who's also cross-entered on Thursday. Ballymore Star is still a maiden, but I thought she gave a good effort for Atfield in her seasonal debut off of a long layoff. Let's watch that maiden race at Gulfstream Park. Johnny Velasquez has her down towards the inside. It was a good trip until maybe it wasn't a good trip, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take that position, you're right. You have to get out of there. And he got out of there a little bit too late. You can see the winner has already taken over. The race is over at this point. This horse is a pretty good second in here, Dan. Really tough post position. I didn't really want to take a maiden in this race either. She's going to have to improve to win. But this filly could be okay.
Wide open race. We're going to try to beat the morning line favorite in here, the number 5, Lenny Kate. Mike, you like Sunset Kiss. I think this filly, I see what you're saying about her last race. It was almost as if Atfield wanted to gain some fitness. I think she's going to improve second time out, and you draw the inside, and that's where Corey Lannery's likely going to stay.
Yeah, should get a better trip this time, if nothing else. We'll see how good she is, Dan. She's got a lot to prove, but she's going to be a price, and based on her European form, she could be okay. She's got a lot of pedigree, too. This is a pretty big dam side family. So I just think she's going to run better in here at a price. Lake Lucerne was the other horse for me. Post 11's no bargain, but I liked her last race.
Want to use Lake Lucerne as well. Take Charge Rose tactical speed and the fact that she was sharp before the recent layoff has me interested in her. I don't want to give up on Talking Book just yet because I think she does have a little bit of upside potential. But Mike, you're right. She did get a really candy pace setup last time out. That might not be there for her here. It's a really intriguing race. Sunset Kiss, 20-1 on the morning line for Mike, 111.65. Take Charge Row is where I'll go, 75411 in your DRF race of the day, kicking off a 50-cent pick 4 at Keeneland on Wednesday. Good luck.